9 News Plus weather, sponsored by Carrier Colorado. The future of home comfort is here.
Hey, thanks so much for joining us here on 9 News Plus on this, what is now a sunny Thursday. It's been a little while since we can say that at 2 p.m. Any day for the last 10 days, but we have sunshine outside our studios here at Spear and Logan in downtown Denver. Hopefully you've got some sunshine as well. I'm 9 News meteorologist Chris Bianchi. And so certainly the big takeaway for today, it does look a little drier than what we've seen over the last couple of days. That said, we do have some storms into the foothills, into the mountains, as well as on the far eastern plains. But in the metro area, things looking a fair bit drier than what we've seen over the last little while. Start things off by taking a look at Lookout Mountain and two real distinct things that you can see in this. First of all, this is looking north, and what you're looking at off in the distance, that is a pretty good thunderstorm that's sitting right over the Cameron Peak burn scar. Flash flood warning in place over the Cameron Peak burn scar, and those are some of those storms that you're looking at. That's one thing you can see. The other thing you might be able to notice down below, look at just how green and lush it is, and that's what happens when you get 10 inches of rain in the high desert in just 6 weeks. And it has certainly been a very lush, very wet spell for us, but that may be coming to a close in the next few days. More details on that in the next few minutes. Now, this is a look up into the higher terrain proper, where here at I-70, right near the Eisenhower Johnson tunnels and Loveland ski area off in the distance, things looking a bit cloudier up this way, and we do have some mountain storms, as I mentioned. So for today, we do have a few storms around. Those will be concentrated into the mountains and the foothills, and also in the far eastern plains. I-25 corridor, mostly, I want to reemphasize, mostly gets left alone. We will probably have one or two storms around, and that could include Denver, but a lower chance than what we've seen over the last few days. More storms for tomorrow, probably a better chance for storms tomorrow, and then this weekend looking wet, especially on Sunday. So if you're planning ahead and you got some outdoor plans this weekend, that's just what I'll leave it at that. Meantime, here's the same reason why. I've kind of mentioned this before over the last few weeks. Here's the reason why we've been so darn wet for the last 10 days, 2 weeks or so, is we've had this persistent southeast flow out of the Gulf of Mexico. And that means that we've been talking about higher than usual storm odds over the last few days, over the last few weeks. And then off to our west, we do have this area low pressure that's anchored over Las Vegas, over Southern California. And that's also giving us that persistent light southeast upslope wind force. Now, one thing you might also notice here in the water vapor imagery, notice how there's more dry air working on in. This area low pressure budging east, that means we're working in just a bit more dry air for today, and that should keep those storm chances lower, but not low, compared to what we've had over the last little while, if that makes sense. Again, lower storm odds, but not zero. That said, HD Doppler radar, again, things a lot quieter for the most part here in the mountains compared to what we've had over the last few days, but we do have that flash flood warning up by the Cameron Peak burn scar, and this is the second straight day we've had a flash flood warning up there in the Cameron Peak burn scar. A little bit of good news though, that storm that did produce that flash flood warning, which by the way goes till 4:15, so the next 2 hours, that storm has now moved off to the east. It may impact Fort Collins here the next little while if it survives the trip down the foothills, but it's going to move over Horsetooth Reservoir, Bow Mountain, and eventually down into Fort Collins here in the next few minutes. Again, assuming it survives the trip down the foothills, which is no guarantee. Eastern Plains, a few storms starting to pop on up into Washington, as well as Yuma counties here on the far eastern plains, and also up by Sterling. Looks like a little storm popping up there in Logan County. Forecast, so right over the next few hours, we're going to develop a few of these storms over the next couple of hours or so. Not as much coverage as yesterday, lower storm odds for most of us across the state. That said, notice how this model does produce one little storm right over Denver around 4 or 5 o'clock. Something to watch for. We don't have zero. I would say it's about a 20-30% chance that you see a storm here in the metro area today, but that still, again, it's a 1 in 5, 1 in 4 chance that you got a storm today. It's not a zero chance, just a 1 in 4, 1 in 5. And the last few days have been closer to about a 1 in 2, 1 in 3 chance for a storm. So a little bit of context there. We should dry things out pretty quickly tonight, and then most of us stay dry. Palmer Divide could be the one spot that holds on to some of those showers and storms a little later this evening. So the forecast, close look in here at the metro area again. 3, 4, 5 o'clock, we'll have a shower, a rumble of thunder around. Severe weather odds look low. Flash flood risk looks much lower than what we had much of this week. That's thanks to the fact that these storms are actually moving. You might remember those storms back on Monday and Tuesday. Those things were moving about as quickly as I am right now, which would be 0 miles an hour. And so these storms that we're getting, I think, later on this afternoon and this evening should actually have a little bit of push to them, which is good news. We don't want these storms to just sit over the same areas again and again. Nobody likes that. But that's when you start looking at more and more of those flood issues. But by late tonight, things do dry out. Temperatures right now, 70s, 80s on the eastern plains, mountains 60s and 70s. And for today, again, we're probably actually already topped on out a little bit higher than this. The 30% chance for storms tonight. Skies clear pretty quickly. We drop down to the mid-50s. By the way, first 8:30 sunset of the year coming up next week. We only get about a month or two of 8:30 or later sunsets, but those will start on up next week. And our average high, by the way, for this week, for this time of year, we're normally in the low 80s. On average, we're in the low 80s. We might get to 80 tomorrow if we get enough morning sunshine. High right around 80 degrees for tomorrow, but a slightly better chance at a storm tomorrow compared to today. Closer to about a 1 in 3 chance for a storm tomorrow. And today, again, I would say it's about a closer to 1 in 4, 1 in 5 chance at a shower or thunderstorm. Should note that we're now talking about a marginal risk for severe storms in green and in yellow. That's a slight risk. That's in yellow is a level 2. In dark green is a level 1 on a 0 to 5 scale in terms of that risk for severe storms for tomorrow. So tomorrow, we're actually going to have a bit of a severe weather risk for us across the eastern plains. Doesn't look like the metro area is going to be seeing a ton of severe weather, but those showers and storms could just get close enough to the metro area that we don't have a 0 risk and seeing some severe weather. I think we're talking about more general thunderstorms here in town for tomorrow, but still that risk for some maybe larger hail. Now, looking ahead to the weekend, and it's Thursday afternoon, so I know a lot of us starting to make those weekend plans, thinking about what we're doing for the weekend. I mentioned this. In fact, I'm going to replay this here for you so you can get a better view of what happens. Saturday night, cold front works its way through the front range. That means that Saturday night and Sunday, it is a washout, I think, for Sunday. Sunday is not going to be a fun day. If you have outdoor plans on Sunday, cancel them. Just bring them inside. If you got Rockies tickets, you got outdoor plans on Sunday, put those tickets on the internet, I don't know, or sell them, something like that. You don't want to be outside coming up here on Sunday. It is going to be similar to last Sunday when we had that basically all day cloud cover, all day rainfall. Looks pretty similar at this point. And Saturday night, once that front moves through, things turn pretty cloudy and cool. So again, if you're planning ahead for the weekend, make it Saturday morning. Saturday midday looks okay. Rockies game 1 p.m. on Saturday, probably all right. Sunday, not so great. Monday, start to warm back up again. And the good news is, notice by Wednesday and Thursday of next week, we don't have a lightning bolt. We don't have a raindrop in the forecast. I think it's the first time that we've had a 7-day forecast without a raindrop or a lightning bolt. It's got to be, I can't remember. I don't know, Kathy, last time you had a 7-day forecast without a raindrop or a lightning bolt in it. Gosh, I'm thinking it's been a couple weeks at this point that we haven't had one of these. But the good news is we get out of the southeast flow pattern, and that means by next Wednesday, next Thursday, they actually look like we'll have either a very low or a 0 chance at a shower or storm, which is, I think we're all kind of happy about that, right? Pretty safe to say at this point. That said, I want to leave you with a bit of good news here too as well. The latest drought monitor map came out this morning, and boy, great news for us. Only about 1% of Colorado is considered to be in any form of drought. That would be Baca County, the far southeastern corner of the state, and a little sliver of Los Alamos County as well, considered to be in drought. Otherwise, we are drought-free here, folks, across the state of Colorado. Drought-free, and we are at the lowest level of statewide drought in almost 4 years. You got to go back to August of 2019 for the last time we had this little statewide drought levels for us across our state. So all that rain that we've had, it is making a huge, huge difference in basically every regard. So certainly lots of green out there, and I know a lot of you just itching to get out and go camping, get up into the mountains and enjoy all that kind of lush vegetation that we've had. It's been so wet and so cool that we haven't really been able to do that as much, but as I mentioned, it looks like we got some drier days ahead for next week. in particular. So hopefully it gives you a good idea about what to expect. If not, Chief Meteorologist Kathy Sabins right behind that TV screen getting ready for 9 News coming up at 4 and 5 o'clock right here on the 9 News Family of Networks. Then we'll have meteorologist Danielle Grant in at 6. I should say, actually, tonight it's meteorologist Lauren Robinson, who's in at 6, 9, and 10 on the 9 News Family of Networks. So Lauren will be in at 6, 9, and 10. Kathy in at 4 and 5. And for the next 20 seconds, you are stuck with me. But once again, thanks for joining us here on 9 News Plus. Have a great rest of your Thursday.